what's going on, everybody? I'm Noah from PhoneEgg.com, and this is the myTouch 3G Slide from T-Mobile. It's an HTC made device. It's T-Mobile's new flagship phone, new flagship of their myTouch line, their custom in-house branded myTouch line. It's Android 2.1 with HTC Sense on top of it, but it's a customized version of Sense just for T-Mobile, codename Espresso. But you don't need to know that. You just know the myTouch Slide. It's got all kinds of special features and tweaks and stuff you're not going to find on any other devices. And it's a huge phone for T-Mobile. And because of all that, and because of the interest that's been shown so far from the unboxing video, we decided let's go multi-part on this one. I got cell phones on the brain too much. Multi-part on this one, a whole bunch of videos for you on the hardware, on special features, on the operating system and software, you know, everything else we can think of, we'll bring it to you. So a whole bunch of videos on the myTouch 3G Slide from T-Mobile and HTC. Alright, so in this video we're going to take a look at the T-Mobile myTouch 3G Slide from the software perspective. I did an unboxing video. I could have called it unsuitcasing video or unbriefcasing video with that crazy box came in. And also did a video on the hardware. And of course there's a full written review of the phone up as well. We're going to take a look at the software here, and this is pretty unique because what T-Mobile has done, they worked with HTC and they developed a customized version of HTC Sense software for Android 2.1. So not only, so if you're kind of new to all this, you know, this runs the Android operating system. It's Android version 2.1, which is not quite the newest. 2.2 is the newest, but that's currently only available on the Google Nexus 1. Welcome to the world of Android with all the different software versions. But anyway, 2.1 is what's going on here. On top of that, HTC has a user interface called Sense, which is running here, but it's a customized version of Sense that you'll only find on this phone for right now. So there's some unique things about that we'll look at. First of all, those of you used to Android, used to HTC Sense, right away will spot the differences with the program icons here. And so what T-Mobile did with HTC is they added kind of this rectangular, kind of rounded rectangle area around each of the icons. That basically is meant to show you exactly where you can touch to trigger the button. So on a regular Android phone, you don't have, you know, this kind of looks more like an Apple iPhone, the iOS operating system, where you have this icon and that's the whole area you can touch. On a regular Android phone, you wouldn't have that. You would just have the image and the text kind of in the middle there. And so T-Mobile told me that they did this to make it easier for people to know exactly, you know, where can you touch. It also makes it a little bit easier when you're customizing your home screen. And let's say we add a shortcut to whatever, my mail inbox. Oh, not that. We'll add a shortcut to a program, and we'll add a shortcut to Aquarium Free here. And so it makes it a little easier to drag this around and know exactly, you know, how much space I have and where I can put this. Which, you know, big deal, not a big deal, up to you. I think what T-Mobile's doing with their myTouch line is trying to make it all very, very user-friendly without sacrificing much, if any, of the flexibility of Android. So to try to appeal to both the novice smartphone user or the person who's not, you know, a big Android tech head, but then also, you know, keep the Android happening for the Android fans. So I think it's fine. I've read some reviews, talked to some people who really don't like the look and feel of this. I think it's just fine. You know, take it for what it is. They've also changed the bottom around there, so you've got a direct link to your faves from that little bottom bar there. And then just the general look and feel, you know, of some of the widgets. FriendStream a little bit different than the regular HTC Sense version of FriendStream. Mail's pretty much the same. Go back. We've got here's your Faves widget to go with that Faves app I just showed you. And basically Faves is kind of, you know, I don't know if Faves is sort of on the way out here because it started out as My Faves. It was a way to get kind of more value out of your calling plan where you could have unlimited calling to your 5 faves, and now, you know, unlimited mobile to mobile is so prevalent that the whole Faves thing is more about keeping track of the activity from your favorite people. So Christy and Aaron and Sydney here, and it just shows me, you know, the latest updates from these people over social networking and direct messaging. So it's kind of, you know, this is stuff that's kind of more and more being baked in, obviously at HTC Sense, and more baked into, you know, the Android operating system as well. but just kind of HTC spin on it with their own look and feel. So again, not very different from what you'll find on the HTC Sense phones like the Droid Incredible or the Evo on Sprint, the Evo 4G, just with a little bit different of a look, graphic look from T-Mobile. And here I've got a widget to set a photo album. So we'll get rid of that, and adding widgets works just like it does on any Android phone. You've got a few custom T-Mobile widgets here, as well as your HTC custom widgets. You've got that Phase Family widget, Friend Stream I showed you, Mode Switcher, which we'll talk about in a minute. Yeah, so those are kind of the ones unique to T-Mobile and the myTouch. Also, the UI does work in landscape mode. I was going to say widescreen mode. I couldn't think of the word landscape mode, but you have to slide the phone up to get it to switch over to landscape mode. So if you have the keyboard open or the phone open to reveal the keyboard, then you can use your UI. Kids at home, when you're making phone reviews, don't knock your tripod over. Then you can use the UI in widescreen mode. So 5 panels here by default on the home screen here. And you've also got the HTC Leap feature, which is new to their Android 2.1 phones. So you can either hit the home screen from the main screen, or you can pinch in. Whoops. You can pinch in to get to Leap. Now I'll show you, since I accidentally did it there anyway, the notifications drawer, a little bit different on this device. You get the regular Android notifications, but then you also get this recent bar, which shows you the recent apps that you've used. So this can hold more than just one. I'll run a couple of apps. I'll go to the market, and I've got some downloads to deal with. And so there's a whole bunch of T-Mobile App Pack is this just it's an app that just suggests apps for you from T-Mobile, if that makes sense. It's an app that shows you apps, gives you personalized recommendations based on apps you've purchased, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll update that. We'll let that go. And while this is updating, we'll go back, and you can see now I've got in my notifications bar, I've got 2 recent activities now. The marketplace, and then also faves, and I'll go back home. I think you get the idea. I'll go to the internet, and while this is going, I'll go back, and I've got 3, and so you can see, this recent apps goes on your notifications bar. Again, go back to the home screen, and we'll take a look now. I mentioned My Modes, so that's one of the unique features of this device. So I'm going to load up the My Mode switcher so you can see it here. Mode switcher. And so one of the unique features about the myTouch 3G slide is this thing called My Modes that lets you set up multiple modes that you can switch between. It's reminiscent of a feature on some of Nokia's E-series smartphones where you could switch between. They had 2 modes. I think they called them home and work and home, or I don't remember what they called them. But anyway, basically what happens when you switch to a different mode, I'll switch to play here. A mode consists of different home screen with different widgets and shortcut apps, and different background, different sound profile, that kind of thing. So you can see it switching around here. And I should mention while I'm doing all this that in general, I'm finding the phone to be plenty snappy. We talked about this in the hardware. It doesn't have a Snapdragon processor. It's a 600 megahertz processor, not a full gig. But I'm finding it to work just fine. Some of the folks from, I was talking to some of the folks from HTC who were saying that for, a phone with this screen resolution, HVGA as opposed to WVGA, you don't necessarily need a Snapdragon. This one doesn't fly along quite as quickly as the Snapdragon phones like the Nexus 1 and the Evo and the Incredible do, and the Desire over in Europe. But I haven't had any issues with it lagging or being frustrated with the performance. You use this and then use a Snapdragon phone side by side, you'll notice a difference. But in general, this has been fine. The myTouch, the performance has been fine. You can see, it's responsive, the screen's responsive, so, no worries there. The mode switching takes a second. It just happened, so there you go. I think there was just an update on Josie Altador, rather. Is he going to play in the World Cup? Is he all right? What was going on there? This is the RSS reader that's happening. Kind of a nice little widget there, the RSS reader widget on the home screen. I personally like it. Mine's obviously set up to be reading the to read the sports right now. Anyway, so now I'm in the play mode. And you can set these modes up. What's cool about it is that you can set these modes up to change manually. So, I hit the mode switcher and it changes. Or you can set them up to switch automatically based on time of day and or your location using GPS. So if we go to the app drawer here, and you can see again in the all programs, you've got that new style icon that is kind of a custom thing here for T-Mobile. So I change my mode, and so my mode consists of, I can name my mode, I can set up a whole bunch of different modes with different names. I'll go back, set up the theme, so I can pick a theme, pre-set up theme, and you can download more themes from T-Mobile and usual suspects. I can, the usual places you can find themes. I can select a wallpaper. One thing about the myTouch slide with this custom version of Sense and Android, it does not support live wallpapers, which is a little bit of a bummer, a deal breaker for some people, I've been told. I don't think it's necessarily a deal breaker, but a little bit of a bummer. Anyway, so I can pick a different theme for my mode. I can pick a different wallpaper rather, and pick a different lock wallpaper. I can pick an appearance, so it's got these different appearance sets of, we're in Floyd now. I'll switch to, what is this? Terracotta, and it just switches kind of the color and texture of these borders around the different elements on the phone. I can switch the ringtone, I can switch the notification, so there you go. And so now what I'll do is I'll go to settings, go back to change my mode, and go to auto mode change. And now what you can do is you can set up these different modes and you can switch based on time or location. So, you can set up one mode. The typical use case might be, one mode that's during weekday work hours. So from 9 to 5 p.m., you can set it up instead of being home, I'll set it up for, away, and we might call this work instead of away, and it'll switch on weekdays. And then in other times, it'll show the secondary mode. Or I can tell it location-based, and have another mode for the weekend, let's say. Or another mode, based on location, I can set up a mode that, senses when I'm on the road. So if I traveled quite a bit to, New York, I could have a mode set up with New York that showed widgets for the New York weather and, RSS feeds local to New York, or certain apps, or contacts, widgets for contacts on the home screen who are the people that I dealt with when I went to New York, or and then I can set it up also. I could set up home, so it detects my GPS coordinates right now, my current location, and switches. So when I get home, it turns off all my work stuff, and it just plays relaxing music and pictures of kittens and ponies and whatever. So kind of a neat feature. I actually don't know in practice how many people are going to use this all the time and really take the time to set it up and everything, but I think it's a neat feature. I think it shows off sort of the automated intelligence possibilities with smartphones. So that's kind of neat. The other big custom feature here on the myTouch slide is the Genius button. So we'll hit that, and it's kind of advanced voice recognition.